All right, so thank you everybody for joining this session. We typically do it at the beginning of your tenure when you guys are state reps. But this year we kind of it's something I've been applying personally to at the office. I don't do the onboarding until after like two months of people working at Flow, and they're like, now I know why. All the things I keep saying through the first 2 months, they understand why they are the way they are, and they kind of appreciate it a little bit. So I let them suffer a little bit. So you all probably got an email from AIA, and you were curious, and you decided, why not? Why don't I become a rep for my state? Like, why not? Why don't I do this? I probably got nothing better to do. No, that's not true. You do have a lot of better things to do, but you found yourself here, and we're glad to have you. And more so with the new changes that are being proposed at AIA National with the governance task force, which is kind of my thing now. Like, it's become our thing, me and Joshua, and the board, because we got to promote the value of small firms and ensure that AIA National doesn't forget who we are within the institute and the things that we do within the institute, right? We represent the majority of firms, and that says a lot, right? So I'll go through these slides to kind of tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. And Joshua Zinder, the chair-elect for 2027, is going to be here backing me up a little bit.
Hello.
I'm Darwin Fortuna. You've already likely met me, heard some, seen some videos or some letters from the chair, which we've been kind of very consistent with that. And my firm is out of Salem, Mass. We always navigate from 9 to 10 people, so we're always kind of on that threshold of becoming not small. But right now we are on the small side, and I'm gonna be, guiding you through this today. Joshua, introduce yourself too, since we have here.
Yeah, I'm Joshua Zinder. I have my own firm in Princeton, New Jersey, and I've been on the Small Firm Exchange board this is starting my 4th year, and I was a state rep before that, and along with Darwin, I guess I drank the Kool-Aid and I saw what a powerful group we can be within the AIA, together supporting small firms and helping other firms rise up.
Exactly. And just so you know, we try to make it so the state reps is kind of the channel to become a board member and moving up on the SFx kind of world. And you're all invited to drink the Kool-Aid too. So you're all part of this thing. So we're a member group since 2009. Important to know that. And what is a member group? So AIA, engages in the interest and deepens the knowledge of diverse members through curated membership organizations. You've seen many of them: National Associate Committee, Joint Critic Forum, and then knowledge communities. So the group deliver tailored online tools, access to forums, and other significant resources, and they elevate your practice field and help advocate for architecture. So that's generally as a member group, right? That's what members group do. We kind of try to always define where the SFX is, and that's why the governance. Again, I want you to read all the content that's coming from AIA National and the governance task force, because it helps us define where we are and where we should be. So we recently edited this I guess organizational chart of the AIA, and we're trying to put ourselves right in between a member group, which is what we are, but also the practice component, which is kind of what we do, right? So we practice, but we are also a member group that works with state reps and has representation. And this is the overall organizational chart as we have it right now. And often people don't know, what is all this? How does all this all work, right? So, it helps us understand how big the AIA is, how many resources we have. And it also helps us see the opportunities and gaps that we can fill and how we can make sure that we get the best out of our membership. So, so that's the organization. Feel free to ask questions on the chat, guys. Me and Joshua can track them and answer them. But that's kind of where we're at.
Should we ask questions in the middle or at the end, or what's the best?
You can be asking them, and then we'll track them and have a conversation. So Joshua, if you can track them, that would be great.
Yeah,
so
yeah. If you put the questions in the chat, we can come back to any one of them at the end, but I can track them and bring them back. So along the way, ask your questions in the chat.
Excellent. And so, going back to this organization chart, this is evolving, constantly evolving, right? So now with the governance task force changes that are being proposed, this likely will change a bit. And it all, it all connects to representation from each community and each group. And the way that this is organized is really to be successful, to achieve the goals of the institute, which is to elevate the practice of architecture. That's what the AIA is all about. So we have the strategic plan, which was recently revamped and introduced during our Hill Day. I saw that at the Leadership Summit. So it's all about PACE, so practice, advocacy, climate, and equitable, which we believe small firms are always doing. This is our bread and butter every day. So we kind of help AIA make this happen on the day-to-day. So the mission of the SFx, pretty straightforward. It's a three-folded mission. It's to advocate for the value of small firms, to curate and disseminate information across from the national to the local, from the local to the national, and to inform AIA of current issues. And that inform, I would want to capitalize that, because that's how the way it happens is through the board, through the leadership at SFx, through the XCOM, but it comes from you. So that information of day-to-day issues of small firms come from you to us, and we inform them to them. And that's why we are currently advocating for a seat at the board, right? For SFx to have a seat at the board, or a member or constituent that represents a small firm, so that this doesn't just get diluted. Because it gets to me and to Joshua, and then what do we do with it, right? Send a letter to the board? Well, you could also send a letter to the board. So we want to make sure that there's a connection there. But this is our mandate. It's a 3 mandate, You guys know we represent the majority of firms, 74% of the firms, but the revenues don't represent that amount. So we represent a smaller section of the revenues. 12%. The large is 65% on the staff, so they come from that. And this is the numbers that we keep always looking at. 75% of the firm, 16% of the employees, 12% of the billings. I wish it wasn't 12% of the billings. Let's try to change that. It should be 20, 30, 40% of the billings, right? So and this is kind of how the breakdown of small firms is. Often people ask me, like, how do you define a small firm? So AIA defines it anything up to 10. So 10 or less is how we have it defined ourselves. We understand that actually, if we were to break it down, 5 or less represents probably 70, 60% of the 75% that we're talking about, like, because there's solopreneurs too, there's others, and they all have their own set of issues. But we capped it at 10. That's kind of the strategic cap. And I don't know exactly the main reasons for that. Joshua, do you know the main reasons for why it's 10?
No, and it's a lot of states actually go by 10 architects or less, as opposed to 10 full employees. So I'm not sure why they set it at 10 versus 12 or any other number. But I just think they needed a point to split it. So
yeah, excellent. Yeah. So the way that the SFx is organized, we have an executive committee, always selected by the chair. So this year, me as chair kind of selected the people that would be within the executive committee to carry out all of the goals of the chair. The board members, right now it's 8+ seats. We have like 12. We had a pretty big board at some point, but now it's gotten a little leaner. And we've been methodical about the people that make it to the board. We select the board, we vote on that. And it's trying to make sure that we cover as much ground as possible, from sustainability focus to affordable housing focus to advocacy focuses and things like that, so that we have a pretty diverse and robust board that can represent us nationally. And the state reps, which are you, we put out a call from the AIA, and that call gets put forward, and if the state selects you, then it goes to the AIA National, and then it gets appointed. We're always looking for more members. We want to make sure that we have representation across every state. That is very, very important for us because as we are asking for a seat at the table, we got to show that we want a seat at the table, that we have representation locally and nationally that goes up and down. And that's how it's broken down. So these are some photos of the members. We do several events throughout the year. We have the all call, which you have been a part of, about 3 of them now. So, and we have events at the AIA National. That's when we actually get together. We have a meetup. We used to have a recurring forum that now this year it's not happening, but we're having a meetup at the expo floor. So look out for that information so that you can sign up and show up. We're going to also do a meetup outside of the conference itself. We're connecting with a local firm that will host us. And we'll have Eventbrite coming out, so you're gonna be seeing that invite. It's gonna be early, like the first day of conference. I think it's the Wednesday, because we believe that's important that we connect early. Then we're not strangers after that, right? We know each other, we see each other, and then we're already connected. So Will Taze is leading that. He's our outreach director, as I would call it, and that's how we're doing it. So these are the states that have representation, and the states that don't. So right now we actually just filled, I think Philadelphia, we already got it. And I think Puerto Rico also, we have a rep that's coming up. But if you know of any members of AIA within those groups that represent small firms, reach out and we can ensure that we fill out that seat. This is how we get the pain points, the ouch. Remember on my first session, I was talking about like this year is all about my ouches and how I'm fixing all those ouch. So I want to hear your ouch, your pain points, so that we can communicate it to AIA National, curate programming that addresses it, and ensure that we can advocate for your needs.
And we did actually just fill in Pennsylvania. So, and that's if you do know somebody in an adjacent state, one of those states that's empty, we'd love to get those filled. We really want to get complete representation.
Excellent. And yeah, and the topics vary, like you see. So this year, it's been very much topic based on things that I wanted to focus on when it comes to our all calls. But beyond the all calls, we have other sessions. Like this is another one of those sessions, right? Like it's another presentation that's not the all calls or the state rep calls and the insider. But for instance, fellowship for small firms is something that Joshua is leading and running, and we do it sometimes outside of the all call schedule. And for those interested, and we're making sure that those are recorded, that those are shared, that we can have consistency. And the goal is to create a SFx subcommittee that maintains the fellowship for small firms kind of pipeline, so that we can assist. We know it's very hard to get that. So that's one. So the 2030 commitment, we have some green practices sessions that we're turning into our AIA University sessions. So that's more programming that we do, but it all comes from the top down. So it comes and from the bottom up. So it comes from your needs and the things that AIA National is trying to do, and we try to make sure that we marry the two. These are some of the topics that we're working on this year. So I started with the why behind practice, with the introductions, why we do what we do. February was all about finances and negotiations. I saw a lot of people that really liked that, and it was great. March was going to be the culture of practice, but unfortunately we kind of had to pivot. Some of the members were all too busy. So we turned that into creating small local chapters of SFx. So that was great. That was great because we want to make sure that every chapter has a small firm exchange, and you can create that. We provided the information. And I'm not going to go through all of this, but one that's coming up, I shifted the competency of practice to May because we had never had ISFX a candidate forum. So we're going to have this April a candidate forum where all of those are the guys that are going to represent us, guys, girls that are going to represent us. That's it. We want to make sure that they remember us, that they know of us. And many of them come from small firms, but often when they make it to the top, I think they forget a little bit about the small firms. I don't know what happens, amnesia. But we want to make sure that we get them before they're elected. Tell us what we want to hear so we can hold you accountable for it, right? So those are all the topics. We have the insider, which you've already gotten. And the goal is you get this insider, share it with your local chapter, share it with the people around you. and make sure that they obtain this information. It's part of the curation of information and dissemination of information that we have. And now this year we're really focused on basically making all the small firms shine. Have you won awards? Tell us about it. We're going to talk about it. Do you have a project that you want to be featured on our SFX, on our YouTube channel? Send us that. We have forms that we've shared, and you can fill it out, provide it, and we share it. We have a pretty robust and active outreach team. Tom Lawrence here is part of that team. And our YouTube channel went from like 10 subscribers to like 70 subscribers. And you're like, well, that's nothing. It's like, well, it's like 300% increase. So that's great, and we want to make sure that it continues to go up as we continue moving forward. A lot of hours are being watched of our channel. And so that insider, again, is a quick, digestible version of what we discussed. And we're pretty proud because it's been consistent for the last 2-3 years, and we like that we've kept it. And that's a problem that we have sometimes, continuity problems, right? So we want to make sure that we have continuity with that. So those are some of them. So you guys know the XCOM, just so you guys know, meets typically on the first Thursday of the month. Then we have the all call typically on the second Thursday of the month. And then we have a board call on the third Thursday of the month. So when you are like me, I'm booked AIA every Thursday. There's always something with AIA. But it keeps us organized, and it keeps us focused on what we need to achieve. We have the Small Firm Exchange Hub, or network, Knowledge Net, or they change the name all the time. But so the Knowledge Net, or the community, I will invite you to be active there. I will invite you to comment and discuss and add discussions. Insurance problems, situations with a project, who owns the Revit model. Ask those questions. We're small firms, and we suffer from the same diseases, the same problems. And often we have the solutions to those problems. We don't have to suffer alone. And it is very lonely and isolated, I'll tell you that much. But I've learned so much from the network. The network is everything. This group of people is everything. Like Joshua helped me solve an insurance problem. Critical insurance problem. They sent me a cancellation notice that we're not going to renew me. I had one claim. He connected me immediately with a carrier, and before the deadline of November, when it was overdue to get it, I already had an insurance, and it was great. Way more expensive than what I had, but you get what you pay for. So it's really good. They have really good programming. They have really good information. They answer the phone every time I call, which is kind of like superb. So it's been great. But the network, again, is what I can emphasize. The friends you make, the connections that you make. Everyone that's leading or a leadership within a small firm, it's its own kind of individual. It's its own kind. I'm proud and proud of calling every member a colleague, a friend, because I know how hard it is. I really know. Keeping staff, getting the clients, making sure that you don't burn the fees, making sure that your beloved ones at home still have quality time with you. Not everybody does it like Thomas Lawrence. He's a solopreneur, and he gets to travel the world, and hasn't lost his sixth senses yet. So that's it. That's what we do. Go there, engage. The hot topic right now is governance. On my end, fellowship for small firms is Joshua's hot topic. Bart Shaw is leading a lot of the awards for small firms, and we have a win. And I got to tell you, the awards task force was directed to create a small firm award, AIA National, a category or an award. That's a win, because it's impossible to compete even with the small projects awards, which their fee is like $2 million for the small project award. So this, it's ridiculous. We wouldn't be able to enter any of those projects. So that's a win that we have. Kathleen was great that I see her picture there. She was our liaison, and now we have Ali as an interim liaison. So he's not full-time doing this. He's got a full-time job. But the AIA staff, it's what keeps us running and helps us stay organized. And follow us, engage, check our Instagram, check our YouTube channel. We have a lot of resources like the small firm compensation report. We actually had a member of that group come and talk to us about it. We now have some programming that came from AIA, like Business Academy came from there, and it's just solving problems that we've had. The jury for a lot of the awards is coming from the pool of the state reps and board members. That was a win from last year too, because we were like, okay, we got to make sure the small firm practitioners are at the table even when they're looking at these projects, so that our voices are there. Framework for design excellence for small firms is something that we've been advocating for. We've had a lot of sessions on that, and that's it. This is us. We'll open it up to questions, to any discussions. This is the most important part of this presentation is you and what you've learned so far, the successes and the failures, and how we can improve together.
So Darwin, there were a couple of questions. Marcos was typing like frantically here, which is great.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So one of them was, how do you access the community hub, which I think is sort of core to how we connect with each other. So first I'll start that I'm a bit of a Luddite. I'm not the most technologically savvy person, so I usually go onto Google and I have a hot button to bring me to Community Hub, but I usually type AIA Community Hub, and that'll bring you to a page, and I'm just gonna share mine here.
So I just share a link. Save that little hot button link. I'll tell you, that's a great question, and it's such a great question because I even struggle. So I even struggle to how to get there. You know what I do? I always just go to the last Community Hub post that somebody sent me, and that's how I connect. I just find the last one, and then I just go and log in.
Yeah, so you go and you log into your AIA account, and you get to this screen. I'm logged in right now, which is why it has that. And then, when you fill in your membership, you type in the knowledge communities and the different parts that you want to be engaged with. So like if I click on all the communities, this is all the different groups, A&D, Academy. You go through all this. Eventually you scroll down and you get to next page. You get to the Small Firm Exchange here, and that's where we are. So that's basically our page. On here, there are the ongoing discussions people post. You can, as a state rep, you can post, and as any member of SFX can post a discussion link here. And then there are more publication type of posts, like the letter from Darwin from earlier in the year. There's a library of different publications. So certainly all the insiders are here. And then, if you were to write something that was appropriate, for other small firms, then that might get posted here as well. There aren't any current events coming up there. We should do that. And then we have, there are over 5,500 members right now that connect through SFX. We hope to grow that because we know that there are many more small firms engaged in the AIA. So that's pretty much on the Community Hub side of things.
I'd love to add to AIA.org/SFX also takes you there. I was just taught this, so that's a much shorter little link.
Yeah, I have